Hello, I'm Jim, and this is Dawn. Say hello, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
And together we are Nice Work Pal. But when we're not out goofing around in the parks, we like to learn our Walt Disney history from Walt's wisdom. Gives me a chance to really learn something.
When are you going to do that?
Welcome back to Walt's Wisdom. Today we're exploring the 11th Disney animated feature, released in 1949, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. This film marks the end of an era. It was the final package film, produced by the studio during the 1940s, before Walt returned to single narrative blockbuster features like the upcoming Cinderella. As we've mentioned previously, by 1949, Walt Disney Productions was emerging from the financial and creative constraints of the war years. To keep the studio afloat, Walt had released several anthology films, collections of shorts strung together by a common theme. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad is perhaps the most cohesive of these, bringing together two giants of literature, Kenneth Grahame and Washington Irving. The film uses a beautiful live-action library as a literary framing device, much like the live-action segments in Fun and Fancy Free. The scene sets up and bridges the gap between both books and the animated stories, with a discussion of the greatest characters in literature, which turn out to be Toad of Toad Hall and Ichabod Crane? The first segment takes us to the English countryside to meet J. Thaddeus Toad, narrated by the sophisticated Basil Rathbone of Sherlock Holmes fame. This adaptation of The Wind in the Willows is a masterpiece in character animation. Toad's motor mania and his infectious, reckless enthusiasm provide a comedic energy that defined the post-war Disney style. As a bit of a car guy, it makes me smile just to think of Toad's infectious, sputtering car sounds and face as he is grabbed with the all too familiar car bug. The frantic energy of Mr. Toad was brought to life by members of the Nine Old Men, like Wolfgang Reiterman and Eric Larson. To nail Toad's signature motor mania, the supervising animator, the irrepressible Ward Kimball, drew inspiration from the erratic movements and over-the-top gestures of fellow animators Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston, as well as a pinch or two from Walt himself. The second half of the film is a complete tonal shift that's just a bit jarring. Narrated and sung by Bing Crosby, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow tells the story of the superstitious schoolmaster Ichabod Crane. This segment is famous for its climax, the Headless Horseman chase, which remains one of the most effective sequences of suspense and terror in the Disney canon. The scene is truly frightening, so much so that you might consider giving it an advance watch before setting it in front of preschoolers. Despite juggling numerous projects in the late 40s, Walt Disney held a deep personal passion for both literary works. He was heavily involved in the storyboarding process and was the primary advocate for the atmospheric, slightly scarier tone of the Sleepy Hollow segment, pushing the animators to distinguish it from the studio's lighter wartime fare. Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston contributed significantly to this segment, focusing on the subtle, character-driven animation of Ichabod's fear and his obsession with Katrina Van Tassel. A major production challenge was animating the Headless Horseman. The team worked tirelessly to ensure he felt like an unstoppable force of nature, avoiding the tropes of a typical cartoon villain to maintain the sequence's genuine suspense. The influence of Mary Blair is once again evident in the bold color palettes and atmospheric backgrounds, particularly in the spooky woods. Much like the forced perspective used for Willie the Giant in Fun and Fancy Free, the animators used scale and shadow here to make the horsemen feel truly unstoppable. So, where is the wisdom to be found in this double feature? It is a study of consequence and character, I think. Toad and Ichabod are both driven by their own peculiar appetites. Toad by his impulsive manias, and Ichabod by his gluttony and superstitious fear. Walt reminds us that while imagination and enthusiasm are vital, they must be tempered with wisdom. Toad is saved by his friends, but Ichabod, lacking that support and succumbing to his own fears, is lost to the legend. It's a lesson about knowing your own nature before the headless horseman of life catches up to you. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad is a perfect bridge into the silver age of Disney. It shows a studio that has regained its footing, ready to tackle the grand epics of the 1950s. The film's influence extends beyond the screen. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride remains a beloved and quirky attraction at Disneyland, preserving the character's chaotic spirit for new generations. The Headless Horseman has become a staple of the Halloween season, most notably appearing as the chilling lead of the Boo to You parade during Mickey's not so scary Halloween party at Walt Disney World. I'm Joe, and this has been Walt's Wisdom. If you enjoyed this trip through Disney history, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Are you Team Toad or Team Ichabod? See you next time.